Hey, what's happening?
What's good? What's good? Happy Wednesday.
Yes. This is the crossover. To Carl Williams with the GOAT of a coach.
Carla Harris.
Hey,
Steve.
listen, busy day in the sports world. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, it's football season, man. High school football kicked off, little league football kicked off, college football kicked off, NFL is in their preseason. But I'm gonna stay Miami right now. Miami Central knocks off IMG. IMG was ranked number one in the state.
We. That was big. That was major. That was like send me for the test. I think we talked about it one time. Like you. This is how you set your schedule up. If you want to build a championship caliber program, you go out there and you say, I have nothing to lose. If I lose, I'm just preparing myself to go back and see what I need to work on. If I win, just catapulted my guys and they buy into everything that we've been teaching. So great win for the Rockets. Shout out to 305.
Yeah, they represented. And you know what? I think the South Floridians expect the Southern teams to go out and beat the up North teams, the Central Florida teams, and whoever else. It'd be like South Florida against everybody.
Everybody. Hey, we're not very light in the North End when it comes to football. Like when it comes to football, that's why they try to make all these separate divisions where you try to put us all against each other. So maybe we get one state champion instead of allowing us to get like four, state champion. So many teams did well this weekend in South Florida. So it was great to see. I think even St. Thomas and American Heritage might have played on a national level, like they were on
Yep.
a national televised game. So that was just big for South Florida, man, big.
Yep. Northwestern knocks off the number 17. Chaminade Madonna right now is ranked number one in the state according to Max Prep. And Miami Central moved up to number four in the nation. In the nation.
In the
With the win
nation.
that they just had, yeah, in the nation. So that's big, man. These kids are, you know what? The consistency of program, like what you said, they consistently get it in. They consistently get the job done, and they definitely hold their athletes to a different standard.
Hey, that's Rock Nation, and that's after changing coaches. The former head coach went back home to University of Miami. So Rock Nation just said we don't have to rebuild. We just reload. We just put in another bullet in the gun. Let's get it.
Hey,
So
listen, that's what's happening, and Dillard Panthers gotta answer that call to Chaminade Madonna this Friday.
big game.
Dillard and Chaminade at Chaminade. Coach Jones over there at Chaminade, heck of a job. He was at Hollandale. He coached Tyler Huntley, who's in the NFL now. He does a heck of a job. The guy's a proven winner. And
Yeah.
it's going to be the alumni of Dillard always try to come strong, but I don't know if it's going to face. It's going to, have those boys over at Chaminade fearful. I doubt it.
Just nothing like good friendly competition. Get them all ready. That's what you go to those schools for, those programs for.
Absolutely. Man, look, your boys play. Kane Gang.
Gang. Hey,
Kane
let's
Gang.
go. I'm ready.
Y'all.
Tune up game. Let's get ourselves together, get the kinks out, see where we are. Real competition. Stop beating each other up and get the bang against somebody else. That's what it's
Okay.
about.
All right,
Yeah.
Kane Gang, y'all got the FAMU Rattlers. You know the alumni come deep. Saturday, y'all playing. The Kane
And
Gang, y'all come deep, but I think FAMU saying they coming deeper. FAMU just coming off a loss, man. Man, 26 of their players were ineligible to play against UNC this past weekend.
that was crazy. That I was reading that and I was like, what in the world is going on in the athletic department? So
Yeah.
somebody heads will roll. Somebody got to answer some questions. I hope they fix it. Hope they figured out. Great university, prestigious university, black university. So let's figure it out, Rattlers. Let's figure it out.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. South Florida on this football tip, we got Kane Gang and FAMU on Saturday, Hard Rock Stadium. Then we gonna switch gears, right? I'm sorry. Kane Gang and Bethune-Cookman. My bad, FAMU Rattlers. That's on me. Kane Gang and Bethune-Cookman Saturday with FAMU and Jackson State at the
That I
Hard
thought,
Rock. Hey,
yeah, yeah.
listen, the Hard Rock making money.
Hard Rock, bang bang. I see the Heineken sign out there, like yeah, they making bank. They getting their money's worth. It's great. Miami Gardens will be making a lot of money. So let's put it all back in the city.
There we go. And I'm glad they're bringing it to the city. I'm glad they're bringing it to the city. We got that's 3 HBCU teams in the weekend.
Yes,
National
great. Hey,
televised, man.
we're gonna have Jackson State on campus at Miami Norland, and I'm sure they're probably making the rounds. But I know we're having them on campus. I believe it's tomorrow.
Okay.
It's tomorrow. They coming on tomorrow or Friday. No, I think it's Friday. My bad. It's Friday. We were trying to get them tomorrow, but it's Friday.
Okay.
So, but I appreciate them taking the time to just come out to the high schools and show their faces. So that's big.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, WNBA playoffs still kick off tonight, man. They're in the semifinals. Las Vegas Aces, Seattle. They kick off at 10 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. And then you got Chicago Sky and Connecticut Sun. They kick off at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. So who you got? Who you got? See, if you could predict right now, because you know who I'm rolling with. I'm all in with the Aces. Who
I
you
know
got?
you all in with the home team Aces, but I'm looking at the Sky.
Okay. All right. Fair.
I'm looking
Fair
at the Sky.
trade. Fair
I'm
trade.
looking at the Sky. I think reigning champions. Let's give them a chance. Let's see if they can repeat. Hold on to the crown. Let's
Okay,
see.
well, I got you. I'm going with the defensive player of the year in Asia Wilson, and I'm going with the coach of the year, Becky Hammond. First year, Las
Yeah,
Vegas Aces. I'm all in. I'm
I
all
figured
in.
you would. Either way, I know you would.
Yeah. Hey, but I tell you what, before we switch gears real quick, Serena, they was counting her out. She did say this her last go round, but guess what? She advanced to the second round. She should be on right now, but
The GOAT.
the GOAT is still doing what she do.
The GOAT. Hey, I love the fact that she has set a stage to let, little brown and beige girls know that you can excel in that sport. You can excel in any sport. Just get out there and do it. Just get out there and put in the work. So man, that family, the Williams family in general, is they're just special to the game for all of us. They represent all of us. So that's amazing. Wish her well. She said, now she gets a chance to be a great mother. She's been a great tennis player. Now she gets a chance to be a great mother and a great wife, taking a lot of her time away in that sport. So I'm sure she's excited to be able to spend some time with her family. So shout out to Serena Williams and many blessings, many blessings.
Hey, and without further ado, since you going for Chicago Sky to win the WNBA championship, I'm gonna bring on Chicago native right now. Our special guest, Coach Liz McQuitter, my coach. Hey, coach.
Hey, T. Hey, Carla.
How you
How you
doing, Coach? Good to
Good.
have
Y'all
you
forgive me.
here.
I'm in my car. You know how we are. I'm recovering from knee surgery, so I have to get my therapy in. And I knew I'd booked this, so I was juggling, but I wasn't gonna miss it.
There you
No,
go.
we
There you
appreciate
go.
you.
So, coach, won't you
Yeah.
tell the listeners in 2 minutes who is Elizabeth McQuitter?
I am an OG. I am a Title IX, AIAW, WBL trailblazer. I represent the era of the 70s that changed the trajectory of women's sports, and in particular, my sport, women's basketball. We are trying to make some noise and connect the dots, fill in the gaps to this history so that women can talk about women, so that we can be part of the conversation, have a seat at the table, and that we can have our history in a way that the men, and I don't pattern everything after the men, but
Mm-hmm.
pattern it in a way that the men do, so that we know who Bill Russell was. We know who Kareem and Dr. J and Michael and on down. You look back at the people of our era, and we fall in between those eras, the Magic Johnson Bird uh, before Michael. And on the women's side, you can't name a female player. The kids all name men players, male players, or say they didn't have female role models. We're here to tell you that you did. We were there. We're still here. We never left the game. We are continuing to impact the game. And the organization that we founded, Legends of the Ball, Inc., our mission is to promote that historic relevance. So I've given my half of my life to this sport as a coach, and the majority of my life as a player. So as have most of the women of my era.
I love it.
That's a lot. That's a lot in that, and she didn't even tell all of the story. It's a lot of,
No,
but
she
what it
gave
really
she
said,
gave me 2 minutes. She gave me two
yeah.
minutes.
But coach, the biggest thing is that what that says and what I got from it, there's a lot of knowledge in there. There's a lot of wisdom in there, a lot of experience that, all of us can learn from, and to grow the game. But I love what you said. Like, we got to get our young ladies to know the female athletes that represent our sport. Like we were talking earlier,
Yes,
T and I, the number one player in the nation just committed to, I believe it's Michaela Williams, just committed to Louisiana, LSU University, so LSU. So we need our kids to know who were the trailblazers in the women's game. So
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. And I'm looking at my protege here, Takara, and Peggy Gillum Granderson, one of our board members and also one of those trailblazers. Um, we look at the young women that we've coached and who are who passed the game, who took the baton and continue to pass it on. And that is one of our biggest, that creates such an agony within us, is that the game was passed to us and we continue to pass it on. And those who came before us.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda Van Lingen is working on a project called If Not For Them, and really is featuring our coaches and the women of our era who coached us, who were administrators, who founded the AIAW, so the women have a rich history full of layers that need to be peeled back. And I always like to say, it will be a reference, it will be a guide, and it can be a touchstone for every generation that followed. So you can go back and find your own history. And I refer it to hidden figures. How did you feel when you didn't know about the hidden figures, the women of NASA? I know what I felt like.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
cheated. I felt like, how could I not know this? What is wrong with this system that we don't acknowledge these women? And it's the same. I look at us as the same in the sport of women's basketball, and not just basketball, but our era, that Title IX era. How can you not know those? How can you not know whose shoulders you stand on? That's got to be corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Coach, and
good.
I want you to talk to us about, your coach in college, because he's still
Mhm.
coaching right now. So talk to us about that. Just his impact on you guys, because you probably he wasn't that much older than you all, and he's still doing it. So when you talk about passing down something and then giving it to the next generation, can you talk on that for a second?
Well, let me talk about all my coaches. Let me talk about my high school coaches. When Title IX came around, nobody knew. I was in high school. We didn't know what Title IX was. We didn't know what Title IX would mean to us or what we would mean to Title IX. And then I went to Temple Junior College for the legendary Fran Garman, who's a Hall of Famer. And I went from there to UNLV to play for Dan Ayala. And we lost Coach Ayala, sadly, in 2018. But Takara knows that name because that crossover recovery step that I taught her and KP and all the women at everywhere I've coached, I always wanted to make sure that you acknowledge where you got it from. And because that nobody teaches that anymore. I've never seen it taught anymore. And so, and then Doug Bruno, who's the head coach at DePaul University, still doing it, was our coach with the Chicago Hustle and the WBL. Each one of those coaches, I took coaching so seriously because of what I received, the gifts I received from each one of my coaches, the nuggets, the golden nuggets on life lessons and not just lessons on the basketball court. And what I tried to do is pass it on to everybody that I coached. If you talk to all the girls and young women that I coached, they will say the same things because it was passed on to me and it's what I passed on to them. So I think that film that Brenda's working on pays homage to those coaches, if not for them. And I hope that as we work on our documentary and continue to be part of different documentaries, we had a part in 37 Words on Title IX, because we were Title IX. We were the first recipients of Title IX, that legislation. Everybody can't be first. And out of that era, you had the first Olympic team. You had the first women's professional basketball league. You had the first players in the AIAW championships, and then on into the first NCAA championships in '82. So you have a generation of firsts, the first to play international ball, the first Wade Trophy winner. So that era is too relevant, too important, not for the broadcasters to have knowledge and access to those facts when they're talking about the game. And we're working with several of those broadcasters. They should be able to pull that stuff right out of their heads, that knowledge, when you're comparing. Just the men do it all the time. Yeah. And they pull in Michael or the great collegiate players or coaches of every era. And let me tell you this, you know the name Marie Ferdinand Takara?
Yeah, that's my was just in Antonio.
Yep. Yes, and Marie, yes, she is, and she knows you. And we're talking and going to collaborate with Marie because we were, and also Rusha Brown of the Retired Players Association. How many can name, not just us, forget about us for a moment, who can name players from the first 10 years in the WNBA? Yeah. And what has happened this is the campaign we're launching too with her, and I want to launch with you guys. It's called The New Forgotten. And that's what the women have got to be aware of. That's the danger. You don't go back and celebrate and cement every era, every generation. Jennifer Gillum. Look at all those great names. They don't even know who Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops are. You talk, yes, we do. The best we do. Yeah. But you've got this generation that they only know Sue Bird and Stewie and Taurasi, and those are great players of their era. But there were great players before them, and before them, and before them. They should be able to pull those names just like the men pull the great Bill Russell, or whether you say Bill Walton, or you say Bob Cousy, or, I mean, you go on up to you go way back. They're 75 years old, and they can talk about every era, and the young people know those men of those eras, whether they're in video games or they celebrate them at the All-Star games. They sit on their thrones and they pay homage to them. That's why they know who those people are. The women have that same rich history before us and during us and after us. So if we don't correct it, we will continue to have this phenomenon called the new forgotten, because you will be moved over with us and nobody will know your name, your face, your accomplishments, or what you did. Why don't you know the great Cynthia Cooper? Why don't you speak in those names? You know, and Marie Ferdinand and Takara. We should know. Everybody wasn't an all-star, of course, granted, but the people who represent your era, you know, everybody should know that. Everybody should know who were the great players in the first 10 years of the league, beyond Lisa Leslie and Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thomas. You think of those because Houston dominated, and then LA came along and Phoenix. But you should know on all those teams, the great WNBA women of the first 10 years, and then the next 10 years. Yep. And then we have we're into that third decade, into the 26 years into that third decade. Yep. It should be easy to pull them out of your memory bank. Absolutely. And so the women have got to correct that, or it will just keep happening, and we won't have a reference. We won't have a guide. We won't have anything that we can go back and pull from.
Gotcha.
Well, I got to ask, I mean, it sounds like you kind of answered it, but I want to ask anyway, because maybe something else, but what's your goal with the Legends of the Ball? Like, is it to do that? Is it to make, to bring out the memory, or to bring notice to? Tell us, what's the goal?
Our mission is to promote the historic and social relevance of the WBL, to inspire future generations, you know, to show them how they can break down barriers, how they can do the same things that we did. And we know for a fact through all of our activities, every age group, youth, high school, collegiate players, WNBA players, when we talk about it, they are inspired. They're just like, why don't I know this? So you can't tell me that kids don't care about that history. They do. So right now we have established a permanent display in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. We're working with the WNBA on a display there so that they know that history. The history of the 28.5-inch ball that they play with now was debuted by us, produced by Wilson. We just collaborated with Wilson to help them find their own history, because people that negotiated that deal are no longer. But they had to go back to their archives and say, we did produce that first ball. Not Bodden, not Spalding. Wilson did. We're trying to connect with the Naismith. We want this league and the women of this era in these places of history. We want the broadcasters to know about it so that they can speak freely of it. We want a seat at the table. We're collaborating with the NCAA. We're collaborating with the Women's Sports Foundation. All the places. And once that's done, we're working on a documentary. We've been a part of several documentaries, as I mentioned earlier. Once that history is cemented, we can kind of drop the mic. We've done our job. We've cemented our legacy. And we've helped put everybody on the right track to cementing their legacy. Because, like I said, if you don't go back and correct it, then, there's nothing in place to remember the generation just 10 years ago.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We also give scholarships. We do it through different ways. We just gave 6 scholarships this year, too.
Nice.
You have to be a basketball, $1,000 scholarship. So if you know any young ladies, we have the criteria. We gave them across 4 states this year. It's very, I can't say that we open it up completely because we're not able to decipher all that information. We can't handle all that. So, but we hope to be there one day. But we reach out to certain people that we know. We reach out to communities that we serve, and that's where we secure these young women. We give camps and clinics.
Can they go to a website to find out more information about the scholarship coach?
Yes, our website is being revamped right now. But if you look at our social media, we just posted them on our Instagram. You can see the 6 young ladies. 3 continued to play basketball, and 3 went to college and just are into their areas of study. But they all played in high school.
Okay. What is your social media handle so I can put it in our chat here so people know how to find you guys?
Okay. We have Facebook, and we have Twitter at Legends, and then we have Instagram. Okay. That's Legends _of_. We got to work on that. _of ball. Legends of the ball ____.
Okay.
So
Legends of the ball ___.
Well, Legends _of_the _ball _Inc.
I got you.
And then Legends of the Ball Inc. on Facebook, and then at Legends _INC for Twitter.
Okay.
All right. So so that's another way we pass it on. We work with the Ladies Ball and the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. We went in March, and we're planning on going back in October. That was probably one of the best crowds we've ever spoken to. These young girls, these middle school girls who asked the most amazing questions about Title IX and what was it like, and and if I could tell you guys anything, promote that documentary by ESPN, 37 Words. And I'm not just saying it because we're in it. We have a role in it, but I was watching it as a spectator, not just to watch myself or Molly, Annie Myers, Doug Bruno, members of our era, not just to watch us in it. I was watching it and learning information even I didn't know. I'm familiar with a lot of that history, but it was just a well done by women, a well done produced, directed documentary, 37 words.
Where can they find it?
Pardon me?
Where can they find it? Where can it be found?
Well, they should be able to go to Google it. It's on because they released it back in June. It was released, and they just kept replaying it over and over and over on ESPN. But I would say Google it and 37 Words documentary and see where you can pick it up, where you can find it. I don't know how they've released it yet. I'm not aware if they have just put it out there, but I'm sure you can find it. Yeah, I'm sure you can find it. It is just an amazing documentary.
Coach, tell us what, you've been a player, you've been a coach, and now you're advocating. So tell us about the different crossovers that you've had in your life, because you had to cross over, number one, from being a player to coach, now from coach to advocate. So talk about that crossover that you've went through.
Yeah. Well, Takara, I never set out to be a coach. Um, I was headed to Hollywood. I always tell this story and people chuckle, but I'm a writer and I'm a bit of an actor and a bit of a comedian. And I've always felt like that was my calling, to go and be an actor, to be a writer. And basketball found me, basketball served me, basketball helped create a part of me. um, Basketball became an integral part of everything I do, and the vehicle by which I was able to pass on knowledge to generation after generation, 32 years of it. So that crossover came by chance after the hustle, after the league. My first job was at Northwestern University, where I coached some amazing women, and Anuka Brown, who is one of the greatest to ever play the game, one of Northwestern's greatest, without question. And it just grew and grew and grew. I made the crossover from player to assistant coach to head coach, back to assistant coach, back to head coach, and I made the crossover from college to high school, which is a totally different world. And the one theme was impacting young people and being impacted by them. And then you make that crossover when you decide to stop coaching, but still wanting to make an impact. So now we go into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and it's clear that our history is not known. It's clear that we were honored with the induction, but not celebrated for the magnitude of the contributions. So we're like, no, we're more than, okay, here you go. You have this honor. We're so much more. It's so much broader and deeper than that. It's more than the 3 years of that league's existence. You got to go back and peel back, as I said, peel back those layers. And once you do that, you're going to uncover all the deeds and all the contributions and our handprints all over this game. The great Lucy Harris this year, her documentary won Best Documentary Short. How many people did not know about the great Lucy Harris, who was our queen of basketball of our era? But there were a lot of Lucys in our era, and Peggy Gillum Granderson, Takara, your head coach at Texas A&M, we both coached you there, has a storied career. Trish Roberts, Rita Swindell, Shar Jackson, Adrian Newell, Peggy Kennedy, Molly Bolin, they all have, the D.K. Thomas, have these storied careers. And Lucy was our queen of our era, but all these queens, we were all queens of our own era. And for people not to know her, and they don't know us, you've got to do your homework. You've got to know your history. You've got to take a look back. Go back farther. Women's pro basketball is farther. It goes back. It's not 26 years old. It's 44 years old.
Coach,
Yes.
Who do we put that? Not sorry to cut you off, but we got to know our history. But who do we put that on? Like, where do you think that starts? Does that go to the grassroots in the high schools, collegiate?
All
where do we start?
All of them, and they are all our target audiences. We go to the Final Four every year since 2017. Of course, COVID knocked us out for 2020 and 21. We were right back there this year. Those young coaches, once again, we didn't know. We have a project called Find Your Trailblazer we're getting ready to launch in conjunction with the NCAA. You go back to your university, you're going to find us. We're in the record books. Jerseys hanging from the rafters. You only need to go with your sports information director and look and find the women of the WBL, of the AIAW. That's the one era. We go out and we talk and we get with the high school, grassroots at the high school, and the youth leagues, the ladies ball I mentioned, camps and clinics, and we have a historical section where we talk about it. We've got to get this information to the broadcasters so they can, because they're the ones who are spewing all the talk about the game and not going back far enough, they will mention Annie Myers, the great Annie Myers, who's our advisory board member, and Lieberman, because they have awards named after them. But do people really know who they are? Or they just know it's the Annie Myers Drysdale Award or the Nancy Lieberman, who are women of our era that bear that name recognition. So the broadcasters, the institutions that house history, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, we've done our job there. We are there. You go, you will learn about this league and the women. The Naismith is next, the Smithsonian. So the places that house history, that they're our target, and we're making inroads. The WNBA themselves, the NCAA themselves, the grassroots level with the youth and the high school, we're in every one of those arenas, the broadcasters. So those are all the areas. And then to get a documentary that we can put out there for the general public. That's the next target audience, the general public, to educate. Now that hits every place we can possibly hit, to try to teach this history. And speaking to women, like young women like you who played the game, who actually played for these trailblazers, for you to pass it on and pay it for and continue to pay it forward. Like I said, with Marie, we're working with the retired players of the WNBA to try to get their history interjected on that timeline. So we're hitting all those places.
Nice. Hey, Coach, we in history. We're connected because you know what? We are the only player in NCAA history to have a steal and an assist in each game played. We're the only one, baby. We did it.
That's my girl. Yeah, that's steal. We still got to do that project. We got to do that camp. The art of the steal. The stealing the ball is not by accident. There's a method to it. There's a method to it. And you can get a steal in a lot of different ways. Takara and I remember we were playing Miami.
Yeah, in Miami. Yeah.
And you needed 4 steals to maintain your number 1 ranking national.
Yeah, we're not talking about 1 steal, people. We're not talking about 1. We're talking about 4.
Yes. And I said, okay, you got to get it in transition. And I don't remember who you were guarding, but she's a great ball handler. I said, you're not going to.
It's Carla's goddaughter. It's Carla's goddaughter.
Really?
McCormick, yeah.
I said, you're not going to pick a great ball handler. You might get her. She might get lax every now and then. So you got to get the ball coming back to her because once she gives it up, they're going to get it back to her. So she got that steal. She got 1 in transition. I said, the next time when that ball arrives, be right there, rip it top, bottom out of her hand. She got that one. And I don't remember how you got that 4th steal, but you got it. Before the game was over, she had those 4 steals. We had to huddle up and say, okay, let's figure out how we get those steals. You get them in transition. You get them off the dribble. You get them in the passing lane. That might have been how you got that other one in the passing lane. You get it when it comes back to the premier ball handler. You rip it out of their hands upon arrival. There's an art to stealing that ball. Takara got those 4 steals before that game. We were in the last few minutes of the game. And we had to get the 4th steal.
Hey, Carla, we like your hat. Don't quit. Hey, we was on a mission. We like your hat.
And you led the Big 12 in steals, you still have records there, I'm sure.
Yeah, we still standing strong. Hey, listen, at the school, 452, we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. That was not by chance. That was by design.
Yep.
Yeah, and people don't put enough effort, and they don't put enough effort to me in the art of stealing, or in the art of playing, tough defense.
The little things.
The little things, the little things.
Yeah. And now you see why that engine won't fly, right, Takara? The bolts aren't screwed in. That engine's gonna fall off. So you're looking at. I heard y'all talking about the aces and the sky, and I watched that game. It was full of little things, and that equals a loss or that equals a win. You're either doing them to get the win or you're not doing them, and it's going to equal a loss. When we're at this point of the game, the stakes are so high, it comes down to that.
Yep. Coach, you always said the game is not won at the end. It's one at the beginning.
That's right, Takara. That's right. People want to look at that person that missed the free throw at the end, or the layup, or the last shot at the end. No, that started in the beginning, with all those little things you didn't do, the turnovers, the missed layups, you know, uh, the not seeing the ball, not sprinting. I can tell that to the aces because that defensive transition was not on point. And Sue Bird was delivering those dimes right over people's heads. Sprint, turn, fine, right, T? They
Yep.
didn't see the ball. They lost that game early,
See?
with all those things. Now you want to try to make it up. No, you gave up those transition points like that because you just didn't sprint, turn, fine. You can't put it on the end of the game. You lost it early and you lost it throughout.
Coach always coaching.
Sprint, turn, and fun.
Yeah, man, listen,
Yes,
that drill is so embedded in my head.
Yes. That means when that ball is rebounded, you don't jog, you sprint. You have to locate the ball. You're looking over your shoulder and finding the ball. And then you find. I got 22. You find your person. That's how you stop transition offense. So once you get that ingrained, that when because people turn and they might judge, or they don't see the ball literally can come by your ear if you don't see it, or over your head. And I can see my girl Jewel Lloyd, which I love her. I can see that ball came. I don't remember who was guarding her, but it came right by her head to Jewel. Even if she'd have turned at the last moment, she'd have picked off the steal. That's the art of the steal too, because I can't tell you how many steals I got just like that in transition. If you see the ball, she can look open. You can come crawl all the way across court and pick that pass off.
Now, I want y'all to know, Coach got a brace on her knee right now, right? And she.
That's right.
But if you can see the animation, because she moving and swinging it.
Yeah, I had to get that therapy in.
Yeah,
I got to get back moving.
I put that passion. I put the passion behind that.
It come out.
And they don't play the passing lane the way. It drives me nuts when that ball comes right in front of your face, and all you got to do is put your hand out. Just be cognizant of being that one step off that lane. You can pick that pass off or deflect it and maybe save a bucket with the deflection at the worst. It's just so many ways, so many little things that I don't know if it's not taught. I don't know if it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know. Last person I remember really playing those passing lanes was Cheryl Swoops. It's really just consistently playing those passing lanes,
I think they get lazy with it, and it's just we don't get enough how can I say credit,
Yeah.
Foul points.
Oh, but I mean, there's a defensive player of the year award. That stuff doesn't show up in the stats. Deflections don't show up in the stats. Hustling, sprint, turn, fine, getting back. That shows up in the form of not allowing transition baskets.
Yeah.
So those are team stats to be proud of, and individual ones in the form of steals. That's a major stat. Steals. I mean, that's a possession.
It could show up in the win-loss column too, Coach.
Absolutely. That's the big picture. That's the big picture. It adds up, either in your favor or against you.
Right. Man,
Yep.
Coach, you be on it. Like you be on it. So what is your legacy?
I don't coach anymore, but I still coach.
Yeah. So I mean, what does your legacy mean to you? What does it mean to you? Like you've touched so many lives. What is your legacy mean?
I'm looking at my legacy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking when I hear from them. Somebody interviewed me in my local paper, and I said, my legacy is in the lives of the women, young women and young girls that I've coached. That's my legacy as a coach and as a player. And my legacy is in passing on what was given to me. Those gifts, those golden nuggets. I got a young girl from Ragda that always says, Coach, I remember your golden nuggets, And so that's my legacy, the golden nuggets. And when I see one of them passing it on, taking those golden nuggets, I said, if somebody gave you real golden nuggets and said, put them in your pocket, you wouldn't throw them away.
Right.
You would keep them, you'd hang on to them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they come in the form of words and actions and lessons. They're golden nuggets, and you hang on to them, and you don't keep them. You continue to pass them on.
Come
Shakara
on.
knows Maya Angelou is my favorite. When you get, give. When you learn, teach. So that has driven me too. And it's manifested in all these young women who give back to me at every opportunity they can, whether it's a birthday wish or a call or a text. It doesn't matter how long we've been apart. And I even wrote a poem about it called Pieces of Me. And basically, each one has come and forged a place in my heart, and each one has a piece. Some may be larger, but none more relevant than the other, you
Mm.
know. And so, pieces of me scattered, yet I am whole.
Yeah.
Mm,
Ooh,
mm,
get them,
I may
mm.
so.
Love
be
it.
scattered all over the place, but I'm whole.
We got a question in the chat box for you, Coach. It
Mhm.
says, what do you think about European basketball? Are you impressed by it, or do you despise European basketball?
I don't, how can I despise the sport that we love so much? I think if you're talking about style of play, or I don't really know what you mean, despise European basketball in what way? I mean, the the infiltration or the, I'm not sure what they mean by that
I
question.
mean, some people say European basketball is a little more finesse, and we're a
Oh,
little bit more.
style,
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna relate it to maybe they're talking about the style of it compared to the
style.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a place for it. And I don't think you ever throw out anything that keeps the game growing and changing and making it better. I'm old school. We believe knocking you on your butt, you hack your arm off before I let you score.
Right.
I'm old school, so there's not a lot of finesse with how we but there's certainly a place for it, and I certainly have played with finesse players. So I think you embrace all parts of the game. I don't think you shut it out, shut out any phase of the game. The only thing I would be against is some of the things we were talking about is where you let the little things go. Just
Mhm.
because the game has been good for a long time, you don't throw out the passing lane because it's cooler to have your hands by your side. I would be more against that than I would about finesse of European play.
Yeah.
Or you don't see the ball when you're sprinting down the floor, or you don't box out and rebound, or you don't rip the board. Somebody lost a rebound, who should remain nameless, with the Sky because she was going up tugging the ball rather than ripping that ball and chinning it. That stuff doesn't go away, and I think if they would embrace more of that style of play.
Yeah.
If that's finesse, I'm not for that.
Yeah.
And the ball was taken out of her hands. I'm like, if you'd have ripped that rebound, it would have been no question that this is my rebound and back off. You know,
Yeah.
so
I mean, do
yep.
they teach boxing out at that level? Like, do you go over boxing out, like the fundamentals of the game, or they
I
just?
don't know why you wouldn't, because the ball isn't going to just come to you. I mean, I still see them. I still see them not getting the rebound.
Yeah.
Or stepping in front of a player and calling that boxing out. Just because you stepped in front of somebody, or standing straight up like a stick and wondering why you can't get the rebound because if your knees aren't bent, you can't jump.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So no, I'm old school all the way, and it has not gone away, and it needs to make a comeback if it is anybody's thinking of it going away.
Hey, Carla, can you imagine we in practice with coach, and coach gonna tell you straight up and down, the game hasn't changed, the players do. And her
Woo!
Yep.
quote was this: if it was good for Michael Jordan, why isn't it good? Why is it not good for you?
You
Yeah.
remember that?
All right, all day, every day.
Yeah.
I
That's the
know.
problem.
Yeah.
If it worked for the GOAT like that, like why?
Right. Why would you think it's not going to work for you?
Yeah.
And all the great ones that did those little things, that's what made them become great. That's what separated them.
Yeah.
That's the degree of separation.
Yep.
You look at the finished product, but you don't look at all the little pieces in place that got him to that finished product.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can say the same of Steph Curry and players like that. Everybody wants to come out and shoot like Steph, but were you in the gym when he's putting up thousands of shots?
I'm telling you.
And but you know what? It's his footwork.
Yep.
So you look at the follow through, the ball rolling off his fingertips. You don't look at the movement and what he did to get to that shot and how he got got those feet set with a plant and square or reverse. The footwork is what gets him that quick release.
See, coach coaching.
Yeah.
Coach coaching.
Moving
now.
without the
Right
ball.
now, she dropping
Yeah.
jewels. I talk about that all the time too with my
Yeah.
players. Like you gotta work on the footwork. You know, so when
Yes.
you ready to when you catch that ball, you ready to get out your hand. But if your feet
Yes.
aren't right, if you're not, you're
Right.
not gonna be ready to get it out your hand. You still
And your
trying to
butt's
adjust.
got to be low. You got not knees bent, bottom low.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw out Takar's teammate Latoya Rose. We worked with Latoya. Toya would step with that high side foot and drag the inside foot. And I'm like, no, step with the inside foot and pivot, plant and square.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, Latoya, the light came on. Latoya was coming off that curl, off that diagonal screen, plant and square, and just dropping it. Game changer.
Yeah. Game
Game
changer, coach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the hardest things, I think. Well, my problem, don't get me to talking about the travel ball and all that, because they don't, to me, something needs to be etched out in that workout that you're doing stuff like that. I'm so much
Yes.
on repetition.
The little things.
The little
It's
things.
the little things
The little
that
things.
that make the finished product or the
Yeah.
finished skill, whatever it is,
Yeah.
or the end result.
The end result. Yeah. It's the little things that make that end result what you want it to be.
In your favor. Yep.
Yeah.
Coach,
Man.
so you've coached on every level. What would you tell a young girl or a young guy that's striving to make it to the professional ranks? What are 3 things that you think they need to focus on and 3 things they need to do to get there?
First of all, and this is I'm dropping names. I'm name dropping, but Carrie Patterson Brown, Takar's, well, not teammate, but a coach, and my player at A&M for me and Peggy, has a school called Legacy, the School of Sports Sciences. And the basis for that is so that you can look at other ways to be involved in the game and stay in the game and stay around the game. Statistics don't lie. So I would say have a contingency plan, but continue to dream. But you've got to understand that a small percentage make it to college and even smaller percentage make it to the pros. We want to do a reality check without killing the dream. Okay? Now, if you want to separate yourself, because if you want to get to that level, you're going to have to separate yourself and do all those little things we're talking about. And do the work. You can't get away from the work. You have to do the work. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing I would say is be prepared for rejection, be prepared for failure. And if that's your ultimate goal, you've done your work, you've put in the time, you have the skill set, then don't give up.
I thought you was going to hit them with the let the chips fall where they may, because that's another
That's right. That's what. Well, that's kind of like in having that contingency plan.
There you go.
You know, if it doesn't work, let the chips fall where they may. You have a contingency plan. You can still be involved in the sport. You can coach. You can be an administrator. You can be in sports med. You can be in sports media. You can do broadcasting. Look at all these amazing African American women breaking into. Every time I turn around, I see a new face. You know, and on the men's side too. You can stay involved in this sport. You can be a trainer. You know, but if you have what it takes, then you've just got to do all the other work.
Yeah.
And but you've also got to have a contingency plan, because it's not a given that you're gonna make it.
Love that. Carla, you got to take Coach through the hot cross zone.
All right, Coach. We appreciate you so much. We're gonna go into our hot cross zone. We got 5 short questions for you to answer. Let the people know your thoughts. All right. So the first question is, what's your favorite food, Coach?
My mother's food, and my mom, God rest her soul, is gone, because nothing compares, and I look at it, but I would have to say seafood.
Seafood. All right.
All of it. Crab, shrimp, lobster, yeah, all of it.
All right. You're going to have, okay, so after we kill that seafood, we're going to have dessert or no dessert?
Oh, definitely dessert, even though I need to cut back.
All right. Enjoy. All right. So, Coach, you've been coaching for many, many years, coaching various types of players. You playing a fast game or a slow game? You know, you putting the heat on them.
Fast game.
You going fast?
Fast game. I'm a running rebel.
UNLV, baby.
And the Chicago Hustle, we were 5'6", 5'7", 5'9", 5'10", 5'11". Our starting lineup the first year, we had to run.
Oh
We
yeah.
led the league in scoring, and we ran that fast break with the pass. Young people, not the dribble.
Dribble.
Watch the Lakers, watch the Celtics of old. Fill that lane, create your spacing, make yourself available, and allow the pass to come up court.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to rely on dribble. By the time you dribble, the defense is going to catch up.
Catch
Fast
up.
break all the way.
They were going
Run, but what is it, Takara? Run to advantage.
run to advantage,
Because
absolutely.
you got to know just because you're a running team doesn't mean you run up the floor and throw the ball away. You run to advantage. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to get your share of fast break points. But when you push it, you're still pushing. The advantage isn't there. Go into your secondary break. We're breaking until we can't break anymore and have to go into half court.
They were scoring.
Yeah.
They were scoring in the 100s without a 3-point line, just running. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
running.
Oh,
That's
that means
major.
y'all was on the floor, coach. Woo.
Yeah, talk
Yeah,
about
we
condition.
ran. We ran. I was always in better condition than nobody was. I wouldn't let anybody be in better condition because that is one thing that you can control.
No. Woo.
And it's the one thing that kept me on the floor because to play defense, if you're going to play both ends of the floor, you got to be in better shape.
Hey, yeah. Yeah. All right, coach. Number 4.
Yep.
So I mean that lets me know what you're picking then. You got your point guard or your post player. You want a point guard, you got to pick your team. Who you getting? The point guard or the post player?
Point guard, I'm getting my general, my floor coach. Yeah. And
All
who's
right.
going to get that ball to that post player?
Right. It makes sense.
There's a lot of frustrated post players out there posting up,
Yeah.
not getting the ball. I mean, they didn't get the ball to Asia enough the other night. Am I
Yeah.
right? Or am I right? You got to get her involved. A lot of guard shots, not enough inside shots, but that point guard knows when to take it and when to get it, when to distribute. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I agree with you on that though. Okay, so last one. We've been talking about the WNBA. So who do you feel will be the winner this year? Chicago got it last year. Who do you feel will come out on top this season?
I heard you guys mention the Aces and Chicago. You're for Chicago, and I'm. Both of those teams are who I'm pulling for. I have a soft spot for Seattle with Sue Bird, but Sue Bird's won plenty. It's not like we feel sorry for her. If she doesn't go out as a champion, there's no mark on her.
Right.
But I'd love to see Becky Hammon do it, but I've got to be for the Chicago Sky because I'm the Chicago Hustle. We gave birth to the Sky, and with the Michael Alter and that whole group introduced us at a game recently. They are all in our corner. They are honoring the past. They are honoring us, and we certainly are pulling for them.
Coach,
Respect,
that's awesome.
respect.
Hey, respect that, and I love the fact that they're pulling for you all and acknowledging your work.
Yes.
That's big.
Yes.
Well, Coach, we thank you so much. I mean, we can't
Thank
ask
you.
for more. We really appreciate you always supporting our
I'm
endeavors.
coming back, and I'm bringing some people with me.
Hey,
There we go.
But we got to get with Marie. I told her I was going to be on this pod. We got to get that new forgotten. We've got to get this timeline down. We've got to get those early WNBA players, then that next 10-year group, which you would be in, T. We've got to talk about that and honoring the every era. Everybody has contributed to the growth of this game, and there's no reason why the people of every era shouldn't be acknowledged with names and faces and events and accomplishments.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's make
Coach,
it happen.
thank you. We appreciate
All
you.
right.
We love you, and we're gonna get on that.
Love you back. Love you more. All right.
All right, take care.
All right, Coach. See
Bye.
you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Man, when I tell you drop gems all the
Yeah.
time, you can see that
OG.
passion.
Nothing like the OG coming in with that wisdom and that knowledge. And I mean, for me, she just affirmed what I've always been saying, that the game can evolve, but the basics and the fundamentals of the game, it doesn't change. And if you teach those basics and those fundamentals of the game, you can be successful. Don't get away from teaching those basic things that make the game go.
Yep, exactly. Man, listen, and the passion that she showed just talking. Imagine her being able to be on the court with you and teaching that to you. I was like a sponge soaking that in. She was so passionate about it, I couldn't help but gravitate to it and want to learn it. And that is literally why I have 452 steals in my collegiate career. We really dissected it. I mean, I was having my one-on-one sessions with her
about stealing the ball,
how to steal the basketball. Forget everything else. Hey, coach, how do I steal the basketball?
Right.
Like, and it was so many different methods. And I can go back and it's like, man, I was stealing on the ball, off the ball, help side, when they get the ball, like everything she said, that's literally how I was doing it. Crazy.
Hey, they got what, coach? You always talk about me, T, but they better pay attention. Pay attention when the wisdom come through. Pay attention for real.
And sometimes people miss the opportunity. People will because they're not paying attention at that moment. But again, that's why consistency is so important in whatever it is that we're doing. Because you might not catch them the first time, but if your message is always consistent, it's going to spark at some point. But you better be ready. And this me talking to you now. You're consistent with your message, so you be ready for when it comes, because it's coming. You know what I'm saying? You've done the work. You know what I mean? Now it's just doing you and being involved in what you got going on. You know what I'm saying?
I'm buying in. You got coach me. Coach me, coach. I appreciate it. Definitely. Just trying to be in my moment and be ready for that, that opportunity though. So
season, the season coming, man. Just how we had to have a preseason, an off season. We do those things even in our business careers and our other endeavors. So now I'm just, from the outside looking in, and if I can look at it objectively, like we're in our season, like 100%. 100%. We are in our season.
Yeah, we just got to walk in it, embrace it, and keep on pushing. Pushing.
Absolutely. Man, look,
guess what?
We're consistent with this. Yeah.
So, hey, been another great show, T.
Absolutely, man. We're going to keep at it because that's what we do. Bringing value, bringing fire, bringing content. That's what we do, man. And you know what? I know that it's something that we love to do. So that's what I love about the crossover, because you can just tap into so many different things with what we're doing. I love that about us.
Yeah, definitely, T. I appreciate you, the wisdom. Hey, until next time, we can get people some more knowledge. See y'all next week. And like we always say, don't use the game. Don't let the game use you. Use the game. Use the game. Don't let the game use you. Till next time, y'all be good.
All right, be good.